One time I had a lecture to attend, but I was running late, which I thought wasn't going to be that big of a deal. But when I got to the class, I learned the lecturer said he was going to deduct 20 marks from our assessments for coming late. But sir, I'm only 5 minutes late.
That's none of my business. In fact, at the end of the class, those who don't show up at all will lose an additional 20 marks.
When entering into the school, I didn't think I'll experience the amount of brutal torment I did, but one in particular almost made me drop out. I arrived on school grounds on my first day of resumption with the anxiety of a guy on his first date. My plan was to have a wonderful first day experience. I was blissfully ignorant of the horrors to come. My first mission was to get to the place where I was to receive lectures, but I needed a ride because the place is very far, like Earth is to Pluto, practically light years apart. The university provided a solution, a spaceship, just kidding, a bunch of tricycles, which would have been fine if not for the problem. No, I mean the problems, because there are two of them. I thought it was going to be a normal process. Get in the ride, tell the rider where you're going to, and done. But I was wrong. Firstly, hordes of people were struggling just to get a ride. Even before the ride fully arrives, people were already rushing to get in. It was as if they were trying to escape the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park. Okay, so luckily I was able to get a ride. But then, the second problem.
So where are you going to find, sir?
Well, I'm going to the... What? For some reason, my faculty, that is the place where I get most of my lectures from, is very repulsive in the ears of these riders. I mean, the look on their faces whenever I tell them where I'm going to is ridiculous. It's as if it's some sort of a forbidden location. They all refuse to take me. The one time when I got on a ride and the rider found out me, Johnny, where I was actually going to, his mood visibly changed. It was like I delivered a bad news to him and he grumbled for the rest of the ride. You know, maybe what I really need to do is drive. The main reason why I'm even in this school is to at least learn something valuable so I can graduate and be a professional. But instead of that, what do I get? Imagine having to sit through a boring lecture for over an hour from a lecturer who doesn't even understand what he's talking about. So yeah. One time I was to have this lecture. I got to the lecture hall, the lecturer arrived, and then the lecture started. But there was a problem. The lecturer was talking and I couldn't hear what he was saying. Mind you, I was sitting close to the front. Alright, maybe I needed to move closer. So I did. Then I realized the problem. Here I was thinking bro was on mute, but the lecturer actually had a voice as quiet as it could get, and to make it worse, all he was doing was just reading out his notes to us. It was as if bro was reading us a bedtime story. I should have brought a blanket and pillows to make things perfect. The other incident, however, is with a lecturer I think is one step away from being the devil himself. Going for this lecture, I didn't really expect anything crazy. Just probably another mid-lecture. Nothing much. But the problem this time was we had no idea where it was to take place. Well, we thought we did, but we ended up walking to two different locations that weren't close by foot in search of this lecturer. It was as if he was taking us on some sort of sick, twisted scavenger hunt. It went on for like 30 minutes. Finally, we got to the real venue. It was a small classroom. Meanwhile, we were like over 100 students looking to attend this lecture. We packed ourselves in the class tighter than sardines in a can. I could have been at home snug in bed watching YouTube, but there I was. The room was stuffy and hot. We were all one disgusting fart away from total disaster. And the best thing this man could think of doing in this type of condition is to give a test. This man gave about 20 test questions, 20 freaking questions in this hellish condition, and you want to know what the worst part is? After everything, he ended up cancelling the test because he caught one person cheating. Lord save my soul. I've always seen villains in movies, but I'm sure this was my first real life encounter. Too bad Batman is not here. But even this doesn't compare to the next story, which is the reason I almost dropped out. On this day, we had an exam to take. It was a maths exam, which was meant to be taken on a computer system. Even though everything concerning maths from the beginning of the year was a total disaster, In my mind, it couldn't possibly get any worse, right? I had about 35 minutes to answer 30 questions. Not bad. As expected, I answered the questions like a total professional. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a fish and let it go. But no longer than 5 minutes into the exam, my computer system went off. Why? Because the power went off. Why? The whole building lost power and everyone's computer went off. Mind you, this doesn't mean we'll get extra time. Unlucky us, I guess, because even after the power was restored, like 10 minutes later, the computer system became super slow and would take forever to respond after answering each question. Everyone went wild trying to answer their remaining questions in time. I for sure was cooked. There was no way I would finish in time. That was the height of it and would seriously have made a good enough excuse for me to drop out. But I'm a good kid and I love school. The results for the exam came out. Surprise, surprise, I failed. Too bad there's nothing I can do about it.